What's a sign that somebody wasn't raised right? You give them a lift and they leave rubbish in your car. I forgot my candies and trash in a carpool 6 years ago and I still remember it. The driver rushed us out because he made a mistake, to be fair, but my ducking brain won't forget it. Hey, free candy. Doubt he minded. Lack of personal accountability. They can never admit wrongdoing on their part. It's always someone else's fault. Yes, totally. And it's often because immature parents don't realize they should model this behavior by apologizing to their children when they, parent, do something wrong. When you don't respect your kids, they can become disrespectful dicks. When my oldest was 2 to 3, I apologized to him about something. I don't remember what now, in public. What I do remember is the awful woman I walked away from who was scolding me about how parents should never give away their power by apologizing to children. Now, teachers and myself always believe my kid. Why? Cause he always owns up to stuff and apologizes. Who are the guys who spit out their chewing gum into urinals? I see this all the time at work, and I work in a high-end corporate place. Do they think it dissolves and goes down the pipe? The janitor has to pick that out. I had a guy shit on the floor in the bathroom at my work, then apologize because I was working the shift, not my coworker he hated. People are ducking weird, dude. I worked at a truck stop with 3 bathrooms, a men's, a women's, and a unisex single one in the trucker lounge. The stall in the men's was out of service because people don't understand what a reasonable amount of toilet paper is. Guy comes in, truck bathroom is occupied. Goes to men's, stall out of service. Do you A, wait for the trucker room? B, just go to the women's, which is also just a single room and isn't used much? C, shit in the urinal. Then come out and complain that I should lose my job because the stall is out of order. How they act as a boss when their employee messes up. Yelling and belittling shouldn't be your first option. This was what made me respect the absolute hell out of my manager. I made a mistake on a job a while back, like a big duck up, that cost us a large sum of money. I was fully expecting to get chewed out, and you duck up again, you're out the door. Because that's how previous managers had treated us. It's no wonder we had a horrific management and employee turnover rate for years. But no, he came over to the car I was working on, looked at what happened, figured out how the mistake was made, and we talked about it for a couple minutes. I was pretty upset about it because I'm usually not the type of tech who is negligent and makes mistakes. So when I do, it profoundly bothers me. He saw that. He listened to what I said, and he went through the process of getting replacement parts ordered for what I messed up. The next morning he came to me again and said, you know, I was thinking about you last night after I got home and thinking of what you could do to prevent this mistake from happening again in the future. Gave me a few suggestions for the future and closed the conversation with a pat on the shoulder and a we won't need to have this conversation again. Brother, I trust you. It was the most meaningful conversation I have ever had with a manager. I got the sense that he really wants to see his employees succeed and grow. It gave me confidence in a moment in which I had none left. This is how you be a leader, not a boss. A leader lends a helping hand and treats you like an equal. A boss treats you like a replaceable piece of meat. Disrespecting people for doing their job. I worked at an office supply company while I was in college. Let's call it Paperclips. I had a full-time position, inventory specialist, on top of going to school full-time. And I was going through a bit of a rough patch. During back to school in late September, this little girl comes in escorted by what I can only describe as an alpha Karen. The kid started pouting and saying she didn't want to go back to school. I was busy running my cycle count report when AK pointed at me and said something along the lines of, if you don't go to school you'll end up working at Paperclips like this guy. Oh, that made me mad. I don't remember exactly what I said in response, but it went essentially like, ma'am, I graduate in 3 months from university less than 1 mile from Paperclips and have a job lined up at local hospital. I hope she works here or at McDoodle, so maybe she'll learn the respect you didn't teach her. Not nearly as elegant or eloquent at the time, but you get it. The only time I've ever been written up for a customer interaction, and I don't regret it. Edit. This isn't quite as neat of a closer as the above. But I do want to clarify my GM was awesome and didn't write me up. At Paperclips all customer complaints went through the district manager, so the write-up came from the DM. My GM told me not to worry about it because I was leaving soon anyway. I miss that guy sometimes. I work with a great administrative team in my chosen career field now, too. But I don't think I would have survived retail as long as I did without the support of good managers. Yes, manager. I have a complaint. This employee defended herself when I was being incredibly rude, and I demand you fire her. What a bitch. If they make messes in public areas and just wander off, leaving trash in the theater, not flushing, leaving the cart in a parking space. Edit. Forgot the theater thing is the norm in Britain. I meant in general. Leaving a mess where it's not supposed to be. Working in a theater, I can tell you a good number of people treat the place as their personal dumping ground. And that's apart from the people who make big messes and just skedaddle. I'm talking people who spill their XXL soda and just walk out. I'm had the pleasure of walking into a theater and finding 3 separate pools of vomit. Like WTF people, honestly. I worked at a theater and a guy walking out accidentally spilled like half his large popcorn directly in front of us. I was pissed because it was opening weekend of a new Star Wars movie, but he apologized, which was nice. His wife came up and said, "No honey, don't apologize to them. It's their job. Creating messes gives them job security." I just stood there staring at her as she continued to take the bucket and pour the rest of the popcorn on the floor at my feet. My supervisor, who was standing next to me, saw the whole thing and said, "You don't give us job security by making messes. Just your disgusting self being here gives us job security." He then told her to go duck herself and she stormed off. I loved that supervisor for that. Edit. This still isn't the worst thing that happened though, considering there were people who would take a dump right outside the bathrooms on the carpet just to screw with staff. Luckily only the most hated crew had to clean it up, and almost all the supervisors and managers and I were friends, so I never had to do it. Also, for some reason people that attend movies apparently think they have the right to touch you for no reason and to comment on your body, so that was always nice. /s. Close bracket. They always portray themselves as a victim. Nothing is ever their fault and somebody is always out to get them. How they treat people from whom they have nothing to gain. Retail will tell you about 75% of people exhibit this sign. I worked in retail. It's more like 20% in my experience. But you remember those more on a bad day. The word no just means throw a fit and be as obnoxious as you can be until you get your way. No does not mean that rules are rules or someone's job might be on the line. They're the important one, not anyone else. I'm an overpass, 10 PM to 6 AM, manager in fast food. After midnight our menu changes slightly so that we don't do certain items and the loose change menu isn't in effect. All of this is in the ads for such items, mind you. But when I tell someone, "Sorry man, can't do that for that price at this time," because the register automatically switches over at midnight, there's literally nothing I can do. People have a ducking fit. I've had people break windows, pull out a metal bat from passenger seat and threaten me. People report me, spit at me, ducking children, all of them. We also close a store and go drive through only after 11 PM because it's just me and one other guy and we can't keep an eye on the whole store by ourselves. We also aren't allowed to accept people walking up to the window because of our insurance. It's much easier for them to reach us and the register, etc. The amount of times I say no to people and they get angry and threaten me, like, "You going crazy," is exactly the reason we don't accept walkers. Even had 2 dudes try read my name badge, ask when I finish and what my address was. People get so riled over a bloody Big Mac. We also aren't allowed to accept people walking up to the window because of our insurance. It's much easier for them to reach us and the register, etc. Whoop, really? I know this wasn't the point of your comment, but thank you for sharing, because I never knew this. I've always wondered and been frustrated because I often walk my dog past a fast food place nearby and have wanted to stop and get a soda or pick up lunch or something. I never understood why people weren't allowed to walk to the drive-through window and, obviously, I can't just come inside because I'm with my dog. Now I get it and am less annoyed because I figured it would just be a corporate BS reason. One rule for me, one rule for ya parents that mess up on the discipline/accountability stage of parenting. Produce these people. Rules for thee, but not for me. Do as I say, not as I do. Someone that does things to intentionally hurt another person's feelings after they've expressed that certain thing hurts their feelings. Not respecting personal boundaries. If you're wondering why someone has these sorts of issues, take a look at their parents. Dear God, I used to be friends with a guy who was like this. I made the mistake of talking him through some difficult things and he took that to mean that I wanted him present 24/7. He'd see that I was hanging out with somebody else and then text me bugging me to ditch that person and hang with him instead because he was sad and lonely. I understand not wanting to be sad and lonely, but you can't make me ditch all my other friendships to fix that. They don't have manners or respect anyone. They never see what they do wrong. Are the old I only give respect if it's earned, so I'm gonna be rude to the world, and if it's rude back they are the assholes. Gotta love those talks with people. Are the old I only give respect if it's earned, so I'm gonna be rude to the world. Those Tauguhai types who say that kind of line are usually woefully unprepared for the "well, what do you think you have done so far to earn my respect" question. How they treat animals and people without power. I remember hearing as a kid about a Native American belief that's really stuck with me. After you die, and as you're entering the afterlife, you must cross a bridge. This bridge is filled with every animal you had a personal encounter with in your lifetime. And together as a whole they decide your fate, whether or not you can cross the bridge to heaven. This was the first and only time I've heard of your fate being decided by animals. Great. There's no way those mosquitoes are going to forgive me. They don't take responsibility for their actions. Or worse, they want you to take responsibility for their actions. This is so annoying, and when you say no, that means you are rude. I know a few of these types of people, and they tend to have one or more of the following traits. They are disrespectful to everyone, not just authority figures. Watch how they treat customer service or retail staff. They have no manners in general, or only use manners when they absolutely have to in order to preserve their own interests. They are cruel to people and or animals, and laugh at the suffering of others. They are selfish. They destroy things, steal, and cheat. Some also commit more serious crime. They expect handouts from everyone. They shirk hard work and responsibility whenever they can. They complain a lot and constantly act like they are a victim. They are terrible parents to their own children. Bruh, that is called psychopathy, and you should run when you see it. I did run from the person I know who has almost all of these traits. No regrets. They litter. If you throw your shit on the floor, then you have 1, no respect, and 2, you're a tramp. We went for a trail walk that leads out toward a dam and some rock formations with mini waterfalls. Broken beer glass was strolled along the entire trail, an hour-long walk, guys, and the amount of garbage at the falls was honestly mind-blowing. Like someone had brought 10 or so full bags and just busted them open all over the place. It's one of few natural areas in that city, and it just sucks so much that people care so little. It doesn't take much effort to just not destroy a nice thing with your litter. The internet has definitely made hidden gems a thing of the past. We never used to see the kind of litter we do now on trails. It's a travesty. They never say please or thank you. My parents were super sticklers for rules and manners growing up, but they never say please or thank you in restaurants. It is so embarrassing eating out with them. I have seen that several times. The biggest example that comes to mind is a military family I have known my whole life. By no means am I ragging on military families. It's just where this particular family derives a lot of their identity. They have always been big on yes sir, yes mom, no sir, no mom. Their kids all grew into super respectful, awesome adults. But the parents? Rude as hell to waitstaff. I don't enjoy being out with them, and my family always felt we had to compensate with a bigger tip. since they are nightmare customers and insulting tippers. As an adult, I choose to spend time with their kids, but not the parents. My parents are starting similar distancing. Turning conversation back to themselves at all cost. Being a good listener is a sign of a person raised well. Edit. To clarify, I don't mean quiet or a doormat. I mean generous, empathetic, supportive and curious. Good follow-up questions without making it about oneself, etc. Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more daily Reddit videos.